So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining, and apologies for the delay. It seems the technical problem has been resolved, so we can get started. Thank you for your patience. So our topic of today is to talk about measuring researcher performance using Scopus. But before we get to that, just to remind you, to put your questions in the Q&A box. We will share the recording with you. When we share the recording with you, we will also provide you with a link where you can download your certificate, right? So you will receive a Zoom message, a Zoom email that will give you a link and a passcode to download your certificate, and that you should receive that by tomorrow at the same time. Right, so the objective of the session today is to provide a comprehensive understanding of how Scopus can be used to effectively measure researcher performance. And this is built around the researcher profile and identifier. So I'll focus a lot on the researcher profiles or the author profiles in Scopus. I'll also focus on the metrics, especially citation metrics, and then I'll also touch on a responsible use of metrics. I will first start with a brief introduction to Scopus, as always, and then I will share slides, and at the end I will do a quick demo of everything that I've covered, and then of course we'll leave time also for questions. So what is Scopus? Scopus is a global multidisciplinary database for discovering academic literature, and it includes visualization tools to analyze search results as well as metrics to measure research performance. So of course that is the focus today. It's the last part. And where does the Scopus data come from? We get the data from more than 7,000 publishers. So from these publishers, we index more than 27,000 journals. These are only the active journals, in total more than 43,000 journals, right? So we also cover books and conference proceeding, etc. And every publication or every document that we receive from the publishers, we link to an author profile, and we link that to an affiliation profile, which is exactly what we will be talking about today, to show you what you will find in those author profiles and how you can use that. So the different ways in which Scopus can be used is to determine how to differentiate research topics, to find current research, literature, in other words, and then also to track the impact of research and to monitor research trends, and then to decide who and where to collaborate, which other researchers should you be collaborating with to find other researchers in your field. Also to track and assess researchers' impact, which is the focus today. And another use case is also to identify and analyze journals to read or to submit your manuscript to for publication. So these are all the different use cases. But today we will focus only on that tracking and assessing researcher impact, right? So I've mentioned the broad coverage of Scopus. It's multidisciplinary. It covers physical sciences, health sciences, social sciences and humanities, and life sciences. And as I mentioned, this includes journals, so journal articles, conferences, specifically conference proceedings, as well as books, chapters, and you will also find patents, data sets, which is not mentioned here, but data sets also within Scopus. All of importantly, what differentiates Scopus from other search engines is that all the content in Scopus is selected. It goes through a selection process. So the publishers or the journal editors and the publishers have to make sure that their journals comply with standards that we provide in terms of what we cover in Scopus. And one of the important factors is that journals that we cover in Scopus must be peer-reviewed, so that you can be assured that if you use literature from Scopus, that it is of an academic standard. So going on to our topic today, so the information around research performance, and how all the elements regarding researcher performance is within the author profile. So I'll be focusing on the author profiles, and this is what it looks like. So in Scopus, an author profile is a representation of an author and their work gathered under a unique author ID. So we call that the Scopus author ID. And all our profiles include identifiers like the Scopus ID, as well as ORCID, which I'll come back to, information about the researcher's output, the publications, and then metrics that will help you track citations and more. So I'll dive into all of these metrics. So hopefully this page is already familiar with you, because this I'll just explore in more depth what you will find in this page. So just taking a step back and looking at the context of performance metrics and why they are useful. So for researchers, performance metrics it goes both ways. So it's an opportunity, or using metrics is an opportunity for a researcher to showcase their work, right? So if you follow the purple arrow, this is where the researcher provides information or metrics about their research for research administration, when they do funding proposals, as well as when they are seeking to partner with other institutions or to partner with other researchers. So that could be via your CV, or many different ways in which you can use researcher metrics, right? On the other hand, all of these organizations, so that could be research administrators at your institution, it could be funders, it could be other organizations, also look at your research metrics to make decisions about whether they will fund your research, whether they will recruit you. Other researchers will decide can decide based on your metrics whether they want to collaborate with you, etc. So metrics play an important role in terms of making or providing opportunities for researchers to really engage in their research and with other researchers. And how are these author profiles in Scopus, how are they created? So this is important because your author profile, whether you use it or not, it is being used by other organizations, and it also is used by the ranking organizations. So how you affiliate yourself will ultimately also influence the institution. So in Scopus, what happens is that there's an algorithm that matches publications to an author profile. The algorithm basically groups papers to a profile based on an accuracy level where they use the name of the researcher, the email address, the affiliation, the institution, the subject areas, citations, co-authors, etc. So they use all of these variables to match your publication to your author profile. That's the first step. It's an automatic step. It's done by an algorithm. The second step is that there is an author feedback wizard, which allows you then to give feedback about your author profile. So I'll also, when we go into the demo, I will also show you how you can access through the author feedback wizard to make sure that your author profile is correct. This is important. Otherwise, all your documents will not be matched to your profile. It will not count all your citations, etc. So it is important when you submit your manuscripts to publishers to provide accurate information about your name and your organization. Right. So this is also just showing, what happens technically. So in the flowchart view, so how this matching is done. It's technical. We don't have to go into this, but it uses a lot of variables to do that matching. And if the matching cannot be done at a certain threshold, so accuracy of in the 90%, it will the algorithm will automatically create another profile for the researcher instead of making an incorrect matching. So the first thing is in terms of, so how do you find your author profile? And this is, if you go to the Scopus homepage, you will find that there is a tab, a search tab specifically for authors, right? So if you want to find your author profile, you have to do an author search by clicking on the author tab that is marked in red. If you click on this tab, it will open a window where you can add your name. So first your last name and then your first name. You can use your full name. So Scopus indexes the full name of authors. And you can add your affiliation information, although this is often not necessary. You will also see that you can use your ORCID. In the next slide, I will talk more about ORCID. It's a unique numerical identifier for authors that you can use. And then we've added a new functionality where you can also find authors by keyword. But this is more used for when you are looking for other collaborators or other researchers in your field. Now we're looking for the author profile so that we can look at the metrics. And for this, use the author name or use the ORCID if you know the ORCID, your own ORCID or the person that you want to access. Right. So the ORCID is important in research because there is often a problem of name ambiguity, which means that there are researchers that have very similar names, and it makes it difficult for the algorithm to make a accurate match. So this is not only in Scopus, this is worldwide across all systems. That it is difficult to accurately identify researchers if they have similar names. So this ORCID number is ORCID is a non-profit organization. So you register on the ORCID website, and they issue you with a unique identifier, a unique name identifier. So instead of using your name, you can use a numerical number, which is more accurate in terms of identifying researchers. So this whole process can be done via Scopus also, because on the Scopus website, I'm not sure it's showing here, but on the Scopus author profile, there is a button that you can use, a hyperlink, to go to the ORCID website, register for an ORCID number, and then you can also transfer all your publications or a copy of all your publications into ORCID, because ORCID also has a platform where researchers can keep a profile of themselves. But the important thing is here the number. So I encourage everyone, if you don't have an ORCID yet, this is very useful. And often when you publish, a publisher will also require you to provide an ORCID. And that just makes it more easy in Scopus also to make accurate matching of documents to authors. Right. So getting to the performance metrics. So this is the author profile, just a example of one, and you will find different information on this. So first of all, there is an overview of your documents and citation trends. Both the values are provided, as well as a visualization, which you can use. Then you will also find information about your H index, and as well as information about, if you click on the Analyze Author Output, it will provide you with significantly more metrics, and we've recently enhanced this page, so we're providing quite a number of metrics, research metrics now for authors. Right. So I will dig into each of these separately. Let me just go. So what's also provided on the author page is that you will see a citation overview. So the citation overview is a list of all your publications and when they were cited, by who they were cited. So it's a complete overview of all your publications citations. And then I didn't mention also, but also your most contributed topic. So this is all the publications in the Scopus database have been grouped together based on citations between them. And this is an indication of a research topic that the author is contributing. So it's basically a way of showing, when you look at these topics, what is the specialization field of the researcher? And then if you click on that, it will also give you more information about other authors that are also publishing in that field. But in essence, this is a summary of the expertise of the researcher on a very granular level, right? It's not, high level like health sciences or infectious diseases. It's really on a topic level where you can almost recognize the research question. So it's very granular. Right. So importantly, often researchers want to see or to find their H index. And what is important in terms of the H index in Scopus is that Scopus uses the publications in Scopus to create the H index or to calculate the H index, right? So the H index is very popular because it meets both the criteria in terms of the productivity of a researcher as well as the impact of a researcher. So it provides a list of all the author's publications, and then it lists all the publications of an author, ranking it by the highest number of citations received for each to the lowest number of citations for each, right? So you can see this is the researcher. There's a rank for each publication. So the first one has the most citations, second highest citations. And when there is an overlap, or when the rank position and the number of citations are equal, that represents your H index. So in this case, we have an author with an H index of 8. So which means that 8 of this researcher's publications has been cited 8 times. So you will see the researcher obviously has more publications. So the 9th publication has not yet received 8 citations. It's only 7 citations. So that is why the H index is not 9, it is 8, because it's that where the rank position meets the number of citations or more, but it can't be less or it can't be fewer, right? So that is how the H index is calculated. You will also see a graphic visualization of this in Scopus, right? So this is basically the same story, but just different visualizations. This is not the same researcher. The one has an H index of 8 and the other one has an H index of 38. And both of these visualizations you will find in Scopus. So there are other metrics also available. It provides information about the subject area of the researcher. It gives that overview of the citation tracker. You will see the topics. So the topics, as I mentioned, these are the indicating the expertise of the researcher. And then per article, so per document of the researcher, you will also find article level metrics. So for each article, you will find the number of times it's been cited, been downloaded, been mentioned in social media or in blogs or news media. And this is on a document level. So it's not aggregated for the researcher. You will only find it when you look at the actual document that was published. But it's also important because these metrics can also help you tell a good story about your research, right? So for instance, you can select one of your publications that have been mentioned on Facebook, and you can around that motivate that your research has societal interest as well, not only academic interest, right? So these metrics are deeper down, but they are also very useful for authors to use. And then there are journal level metrics. So when researchers' performance are measured, often the quality of the journals are also taken into account. But these metrics around journal quality is not provided on the author page. But I want to also mention it here. So if you want to find metrics about the quality of the journals in which you are publishing, you have to click on the name of the journal, which will be on in your document list. It will show which journal, the name of the journal. Click on that journal, and it will take you to a journal page where you will find metrics about the actual journal. And these metrics in Scopus, we use the site score. So the site score is an average number of times that articles in that journal get cited, right? So here we have a publication. Elon Musk published an article in Journal of Medical Internet Research. This journal, on average, the articles in that journal get cited 12.1 times. And that is an indication of the quality of the journal. If you compare it to other journals in the medical field, you will be able to see where it fits in terms of, the quality of the journal. Right, so this is very useful. The journal metrics are not supposed to be used to evaluate researchers. It's the aim of the journal metrics are to help researchers to select a good journal or to distinguish between journals based on their quality. And quality, in this case, is measured by the average number of citations, which is the site score. Right. So we have separate sessions on journal metrics. So I'm not going to cover journal metrics in this session, but I thought to also mention this because in many cases, the journal metrics, site score, impact factor are also taken into account in terms of the performance of the researcher. So keeping track of your profile. So in Scopus, there's also a button where you can set up an alert so you can be notified when a publication has been added to a profile. It could be your own profile, it could be somebody else's profile, but you can have an alert when any publications or citations were added to the author. It is also possible, and this is useful for heads of departments or faculty managers, where if you need to evaluate researcher performance within a team, you can create a list of authors and then also analyze their performance of the group. Right. So I'll show this when we go into the demo now. So once you've created your list of authors, then you can click on analyze, and it will analyze, and it will give you the combined performance of the group of researchers, how many publications, how many citations, the H-index, etc. So importantly, I mentioned that it is there are 2 steps in terms of creating these author profiles. It is also possible. The second step is using the author profile wizard, where you can make your own corrections on the author profile. And these types of corrections could be mergers. So if you have 2 author profiles, you can merge them together. You can also split an author profile. You can report detail mistakes, so in terms of the name, the spelling, etc. And then you can add missing content to your author profile as well. So the important button to take note of there, or the link, is the edit profile. So if you click on that edit profile, it will take you to this form where you can change your author details, your current affiliation. You can only select an affiliation that is already in Scopus, right? So if you move to a new university, you have to publish with that university. It must be already in Scopus then, and then you can change your profile, your affiliation to the new institution, right? Merging, I will show you also how you can merge if the algorithm created 2 profiles or even three profiles for the same researcher because it couldn't recognize that this is the same researcher. You can merge them very easily in Scopus. Right, so I will show you the steps in the demo. Before I get to the demo, I just want to mention also that since we are talking about researcher performance and using metrics to evaluate researchers, it is important to be aware of some guidance in terms of what is a fair way of using metrics for researchers. So they importantly, you can look at the Leiden Manifesto. So the Leiden Manifesto put together 10 principles that should be taken into account when metrics are used to evaluate researchers, and we support these 10 principles. 2 principles that we have in Scopus, for example, is that you always use more than one metric to evaluate researchers. So you don't rely only on the H-index or only on research output or only on citations, but always a combination of metrics. And then also not to only rely on metrics, but to also get expert input. If big decisions are made around researchers, it is important to be very responsible in how these metrics are used. Right, and then there's also the DORA declaration. This was signed in San Francisco by a large number of researchers. It's internationally accepted now that it is not fair or it's not appropriate to use journal metrics, in other words, site score or journal impact factor to evaluate researchers. So it can be taken, it can be noted, but it shouldn't be a metric that decisions are made on in terms of researcher performance. One of the reasons is that the journal, journal metric site score tells you something about the journal, doesn't tell you something about the researcher. So for instance, a researcher can publish in a high impact journal, but that specific article of the researcher might not be cited as highly. So in that case, it's better not to use journal metrics in terms of researcher performance evaluation. Right, so from here, I will just change and give you a quick demo of everything that we've discussed now. Go to Scopus. Just want to, am I still? Let me just share again. So you should be seeing now the Scopus homepage, right? So as I mentioned, when you want to find performance metrics, research performance metrics in Scopus, is to go to the author tab, author search. Select author name. So I'm just going to, this is a previous author I searched for, but it's actually a good example because I want to show you how you can merge, right? So you type the name, the last name of the author, and the first name of the author. If you need to, you can also add the affiliation name. In this case, it's not necessary, so I'm just going to search. Then also, if you have the ORCID, you can use the ORCID as well. In this case, I'm only going to use the author name. So we've got Salim Abdul Karim, and search for the author. Right, so the results are, it's a bit, maybe it's my internet that's a bit slow, doesn't usually take that long, but you can see that the same author in this case has 3 profiles. And this is because there are many different ways that publishers are using the name of the author profile. If this happens to you, you can just select and make sure this is you, make sure. It's very important because there are researchers with the same names and even in the same institution. But this researcher I know well, so I know that this is the same person. Select all 3 of the profiles and request to merge authors. Right, so I'm not going to do it now, but it is as easy as that. You just request to merge authors. There will be another screen asking you to confirm, and then it will be done automatically in the background. It takes more than a week for it to show the correct version then in Scopus. So from here, I will just select the main profile here of the researcher so that you can see the author profile. So this is a very prolific author. He publishes a lot. So I'm just going to maybe use an author with fewer publications. So my favorite example is Elon Musk. He's got only 1 profile. I'm clicking on that profile and the author profile will open. Right. So here you can see that button I mentioned. So you can click on this if, so in this case, the author does not have an ORCID yet. So you connect here, it opens the ORCID website where you register and you get your ID. Right. So here you can see an overview of metrics that are available in this author profile. So first of all, you'll see your total number of citations, and this is based on the citations that are coming from Scopus journals. It's not looking at Google Scholar or anything outside of Scopus. It's only counting the citations that are in Scopus. Right? So 813 citations by 778 documents. In total, Elon Musk has published 22 documents. His H index is 9. Right? So 9 means 9 of his publications has been cited at least 9 times. And if you click on the graph, it will show you the calculation. So there are the 22 publications that are ranked by the number of times they've been cited. So many publications have not been cited, but the top ones have been cited quite a lot, right? So where the number of citations are equal to or more than the rank of the publications, that will then be the, so the rank is taken then as the H index. So that's 9. You can also change, you can make, you can exclude citations from books, exclude self-citations, you can change the date. So if you only want to see the H index for the past 5 years, you can also change the date here and then update the graph. Right. So I'll just go back to the author detail page. So that's the H index, and the H index is an indicator telling the productivity as well as the impact of the researcher. Right. So the H index should be used with caution because the H index is not normalized for subject area. So you can't compare Elon Musk, who publishes in different research areas, to a researcher, for instance, in, I don't know, arts and humanities. So the H index is not normalized. It's also not normalized for the time period that the author has been publishing. So Elon Musk has only been publishing since 2003. So you can imagine you can't compare his H index with somebody who's been publishing since 1996, for example. So in that way, the H index is also not such a good metric to use. It's just important to be aware of some of the pitfalls of the H-index. Right. So if you scroll down, you will see this is just a graph of or an overview showing you when these publications were published, and then also when they were cited and how many times they were cited. So here you can see in 2023, he hasn't published yet, but he has been cited 195 times in 2023, right? So this graph gives you that overview of publications, the trend of publications, and the trend of citations also. As I mentioned, you will see the topics. The topics then is an indication of the expertise of the researcher or of your own research. So if you want to know more about this topic, you can click on that and you can read an overview or a description of what this topic is about and who are the top researchers in this topic. So looking still further into analyzing author output, I will click on that one. So here a whole lot of metrics are provided about the author. So you can see the publication. So these are the journals in which Elon Musk is publishing. So 2 documents were published in the journal called New Space. If you want to know what is the quality of this journal, you'll have to, let me see the easiest way. So you'll have to open these publications. It will open the document detail page. Right. And then you can click on the name of the journal, which will take you to the journal page, where you will see what is the cite score of this journal. So it's 1.6, which means on average, articles in this journal is cited 1.6 times, and this is over a 4-year period. Right? So this is how you get, it's not directly on the author profile, but it is, but you can click through it by, this is one of the ways in which you can find it. So if you see the name of the journal, you can click on the document and then on the name of the journal to find more information, right? So you can also, this page now is a summary of all the metrics, right? So here you've got your journals, then you've got your type of publication. So how many of your publications were articles, how many were conference papers, notes, book chapters, etc. So there's that overview. Then there's also an overview by year, where you can see the publication trend of the author and what are the subject areas. So this is interesting for researchers also to show how multidisciplinary their research is, right? So publishing across many different research areas. If you go down, you will see the H-index. We've covered that. This is the citations, a graph showing you those 812 citations, when those citations were given, and then a list of all the co-authors of the author. Right. So Elon Musk has many co-authors. And who you co-author with is also an indication of the quality of your research as well. So it's useful for researchers to also keep a list or to have access to this list of all their co-authors. Right. So this we found under the analyze author. So this is where we found that. The citation overview is also taking those 813 citations, but now it shows you in a graphic way how these citations were given to your work. Right, so in this page, you will see now a list of publications. I think, let me just close this. Yeah, so they are so there's a default, so it's the newest publications first, but you can change this to the different, so cited by, for instance, highest. So you can see there's the total number of citations, and then per article or per document, when was this publication cited, right? So you just see, you'll have to scroll. I'm just going down to, because it's a very big graph. So you can just open and it will show you that it was published in 2019. And then the first citation came also in 2019, 6 citations in 2020, 61 citations, etc. So per year, the total number of citations, and then subtotaled, and then you get the plus the current year, and then the total. So this is an overview of a detailed overview of the citations, right? So going back to the author details page, and I want to click here on view all metrics, right? So we've recently added more metrics than only citations and documents and the H index. So if you click on view all metrics, you will see also the percentage of internationally co-authored publications, the percentage of publications by the author that is academic corporate collaboration, the number of documents that are amongst the top 10% most cited in the world. So Elon Musk has 10 of his documents, 10 of the 22 are amongst the 10% most cited in the world. And this is per subject area. So it's not across all the subject areas, but in their subject area. So, and then also the documents in top 25% journals by site score percentile. So this is an indication of the quality of the journals in which he's publishing. So 77.8% are published in journals that have amongst the 25% highest site score, right? And then documents and field-weighted citation impact. So it shows the number of documents per year and the field-weighted citation impact. So the field-weighted citation impact takes the number of citations and it normalizes it for what is the expected rate of citations for the subject area, the type of publication, and the year of publication. And the average, the global average, is 1.0. So you can see that the field-weighted citation impact of 10.57 is much higher than the global average of 1.0. So these are the additional metrics that were added recently to the Scopus author profile. And just to remind you that this is available under all metrics, right? Then you can also, just quickly want to go through this. If you go to the actual documents, as I mentioned, per document, you will also find metrics. Right? So this is not on the author level, this is on the document level. But here, for example, you will see a document authored by Elon Musk that received 58 citations. So this is in the 99th percentile. It's also higher than the global average. And if you look at all metrics, you will also see the number of times that these metrics, if you just, I'm going to click on this. If you click on the PlumX metrics, you will see metrics related to societal interest, right? So so this is, for instance, news blogs, news mentions. You will also find, if it's relevant, you will find any mentions in Facebook. Unfortunately, Twitter is not anymore available, but it will show you how the research has been mentioned in news or in social media. This is under PlumX metrics on the document level. Right, and we're just going back. We're almost done, and sorry, we're going over time because we had to wait, but I'm almost done, and just go back to the Scopus detail page. So just one more click back. Let's get to the author page again. Right, so importantly, what I mentioned is that you can edit this profile. If it's your own profile, you can edit this. So edit the profile. If you click on that, you can say, yes, it's mine. No, it's not mine. I'm doing it on behalf. I'm the research assistant. So if you click now on the preferred name, you can, the Scopus algorithm automatically captures all the different name variants or the different ways in which the name is used. And then you can select which one is your preferred one. If you're publishing with different organizations, different institutions, you can select which one you want to show on your author profile. Then you can look at all your publications. You can say, no, this is not mine, remove it. Or you can scroll down to the end and say, I'm missing documents that are not in my profile. And then you can search by title. If you find it on the title, you can mark it as to add to your profile, right? So remember the edit profile option. And then finally, you can also save to list. So you can create a list of important authors. If you're a faculty manager, you can create a list of authors and you can monitor the performance of all of these authors. So I've added Elon Musk already to a list, which I will show you. And then also another important function is to set an alert, right? So set an alert so you know when you've published. So, and then you can wait a few months, about 3 months, to check whether your article that you published is in Scopus. If it's not in Scopus, then you can follow up and let us know, or through the support desk, that one of your articles have not been added to your profile, right? So you can set up an alert either for when documents are added or when you are cited. You can name your alert, you can add your email, you can say when you want to receive it, right? And then set your document alert. So finally, I want to show you, so when you use the save to list, when you just save to list, you can create a new list, or you can add it to an existing list. So I'm not going to do this now because I've already done this. And then you can put all your authors that you are interested in this list, and then it will automatically capture, and it will be available in your account, where you can go to saved lists. You need to be signed on to use this facility, this feature. You click on that, go to saved lists, author lists, and you will see I've added Elon Musk into this group of tech billionaires just for fun. So here you can see I've got Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg. So I can see how many publications they've published, their H indexes, etc. If I go back to this saved list, there's also a function here where you can analyze. If I click on the analyze, I can see what is the combined metrics of this group of researchers. So I can see together they published 72 publications. They've got an H index. The group has an H index of 17, etc., etc. Right. So this is very useful when you're monitoring the research performance of a group of researchers. So I hope this has been useful for you in terms of how and where you can find metrics that are indicators of research performance in Scopus. Thanks a lot. And if there's time, I'm available to take some questions.
Thank you, Lucia. Thank you. Okay, I have grouped some questions. There is many questions which are out of scope, so we'll try to let them for the end if we have time. We begin with the questions in the which are in the scope. Many questions about the accounts. Can we create account? How and how to manage it?
Right. So yes, that's a good question. And thanks for asking that, because Scopus automatically creates a researcher profile. So when you're saying account, I'm understanding that you mean a researcher or an author profile. So Scopus automatically creates an author profile. So it's not possible to create it's not like ResearchGate or any of those other, author platforms or research platforms where you can create your own author profile. In Scopus, it is automated. So if you publish in a journal that is indexed in Scopus, you will automatically have an author profile. And that author profile will also automatically then link all your documents, but it will not link documents that are not in Scopus journals, right? So the Scopus journals are under sources. You will see that there are more than 44,000 journals covered in Scopus. So if your publication is not in one of these journals, it will not be on your author profile. Right? So I hope that answers the question. It's not possible to create an author profile. It is created automatically, but you can edit your profile in terms of just the name, preferred affiliation, and just check that all your Scopus articles are linked to your author profile. Thanks. That's an important question.
There is also questions about merging authors and potential author matches.
Okay, so to merge an author profile, it is easy when the surname, the last name is still the same, so when you have, for instance, let me just go back. So an author, the different author profiles are created if the algorithm cannot match. So if you're using, if you're publishing and you're using your last name and initials, and the next publication, you're publishing in a different subject field, or you've got different co-authors, the algorithm is very sensitive for that. So it might then create two author profiles for you because it's not sure that it's the same person. Then you can merge them. So this is an example. So you would typically see that when you type the name of the researcher. So this one is always, what's his name again? Salim. So you will see that there are more than one author profiles for the same person if you type your last name and your first name, and it will look like this. So this is the main profile, but there are also 17 that are not matched to the main profile. And here's another one also not matched to. So you can just select all of these three and request to merge the author profile. If it does not look like this, but you also have another author profile because you changed your name, then you can use the support desk. So click on the support desk, go to the support center, and you can ask for a change. So you would use this page to report any, let me see, why is it not opening? Right, so author profile correction. So you've got your author wizard on your author profile that you can use. If it is a more complex, you can use the author profile correction, and then you can type in what is the problem and they will help you to correct it. Right, so that's in terms of merging or changing or making any corrections to your profile. So the other question was related to the suggested name. So if you go to an author profile, there is a feature on the author profile which will tell you that there are names that look like your name, and it might be you, so you can select them, right? So let me just find where that is. Right, so here is an example. So you've got the name of the author, and if you go to view more, it will tell you all the different ways in which the name is used on the Scopus documents. And then you can also find a potential author match, and this is where the algorithm will show you that exactly these, which you will also see. And then you can select from them if this is you. So Karim Salim, so that looks like it could be the author, but it could also be this author. So you have to know, you have to just check, the subject area and the affiliation, the country, etc. So it's the algorithm showing you that there are documents in Scopus that look like your name, but it wasn't sure enough to make that match, and then you can select them and add them to your profile. I hope that makes sense to you.
Michelle, there is many questions about measuring the author performance beside each index, which is not normalized.
Mm-hmm. So what other metrics you could use? So there are many metrics. What you have available in Scopus is on the author profile page is these metrics that we've added recently. Let me just see also. So typically the types of metrics that are used for authors is productivity. So the number of publications, the number of citations. And if this is evaluated in a subject area and it's not, then it's fine. Then you don't need normalization. But if you look at the entire institution and you compare social sciences with engineering, that's not fair because they've got different citation cultures. But output citations are usually used as metrics for researchers. Then also, and I forgot to show this actually on the author profile page, is if you scroll down, there's also a breakdown of author position. So first author papers, if you are the first author or the last author, depending on your subject area, the most important author would mostly be as first author or the last author. This is also a metric, so the number of publications where you were the first author or the last author, that is an indicator of research excellence as well. If you look at the metrics that were added recently, where you click on view all metrics, researchers' partnerships, so the extent to which you collaborate, that can also be an indicator of not of your excellence, but of your network. So a researcher that is networked is usually also more successful. If you're working in a topic and you are working internationally with other researchers, that's definitely a very important metric. So you will find of your publications, the percentage that are internationally co-authored is very useful, as well as research that is co-authored with industry. So corporate collaboration, corporate industry is an indicator of applied research. It's an indicator of commercialization. So this is also a very useful metric. Something that is becoming more and more popular is to measure the extent of a researcher's publication amongst the top 10% most cited. So in this case, we have 52%, or the actual number of documents. This is an important indicator. So at a certain level of researchers, just your number of publications is not sufficient anymore. You have to be able to show, the degree to which your papers are very highly cited. This is also an indicator of research excellence. And the same is for, how many of your publications are published in high quality journals. So this can be measured by this metric, the top 25% journals by site score. You can change that to SNP or SJR, which is source normalized impact per paper, and Scimago journal rank. These two journal metrics are normalized. If you want to show, be able to compare your research with other subject fields, you use the normalized metrics. Otherwise, site score is fine if you're just looking within your subject area. So in Scopus, we have the top 25% journals. So how many of your publications are amongst those that are published in journals that have a high site score? That's also a measure of excellence, right? And that's a little bit different than using the site score or the impact factor as a direct indicator. So it's amongst the top 25%, but it's not saying that you have published in a journal with a site score of maybe 24 or something. That's quite a high site score. Right, so these are, and then there's the field weighted citation impact. It also gives you if you click on it will give you a definition. So the field weighted citation impact is a normalized metric. So in this case, we're seeing a field weighted citation impact of 5.54, which is an average of the field weighted citation impact of each publication that was published. Right, so the field-weighted citation impact is the ratio of citations received relative to the expected world average for the subject. It's normalized for subject, publication, publication type, so review, article, conference proceeding. They each have different citation rates, and then publication year. It's normalized for those three factors. And the world average is 1.0. So here you can see this is much higher than the world average, like 554% above the world average. So the field weighted citation impact is more useful in this case than the H index, because the H index is not normalized. Right? So it's not that the H index should be avoided completely, but just keep in mind that when you are using it, that there are some deficits in the sense that it's not normalized. Right? So there are quite a number of indicators that are used for researchers, from their productivity to impact, which is measured by citations mostly, to their collaboration, which is measured by international collaboration. Field-weighted citation impact is also showing impact, academic impact through citations. Then these are excellence metrics. When you are amongst the top 10% or amongst the top 25%, that shows research excellence. And that's important indicators. Combined then with the authorship, or the author contribution. Is it first author? Is it last author, etc.? That also is an important metric for authors. I hope that has summarized all the metrics that can be used.
Okay, I think we'll take a last question. It seems like author's profile are easy to edit by a third party. How do you protect author's profile?
So the author profile, so your publication record is public. So it's not, if you take a publication in Scopus and you add it to your profile, that would be seen by the other authors as well. So it's not possible. And then we also have security mechanisms within the system as well. So even though there's an author profile wizard, and you can use the author profile wizard to request a change, it still goes to a human being to check whether that request is a legitimate request before it will be finalized, right? So it will check, are you really an author on this paper if you are adding it to your profile? So in that way, and the fact that it's completely public, so anybody can see, so it's not easy for researchers to manipulate their author profiles because it is public information, anybody can see it. And then the security that we have in terms of a human intervention above the wizard. So we haven't, I've not been aware of any breach of that since I've been working with Scopus for more than 10 years, that it is possible for you to add publications or take away publications from your author profile. So I hope that gives you the assurance that your profile is intact. And for anybody to change your profile, that will definitely not be easy because it goes through a human to make sure that there's no manipulation taking place within Scopus.
Thank you, Lucia. We wish that we could take all the questions, but the time it's a little late. So I will give a collective answer. Donc, s'il vous plaît, une réponse collective concernant les attestations d'hier. Il y avait un lien qui a été renvoyé, mais qui n'est pas fonctionnel. Donc, un autre lien vous sera renvoyé. Il sera envoyé à tous les participants qui ont assisté à la session de formation d'hier. Pour la session d'aujourd'hui, vous allez également recevoir un lien contenant, un email, pardon, qui contient le lien vers l'attestation. Ça, c'est pour les attestations. Il y a beaucoup de questions qui sont en relation avec les journals et les revues Index et Scopus. Donc, nous avons un cycle qui s'est déroulé en cours de 2023. Tous les enregistrements sont disponibles sur notre chaîne YouTube CNRSTA officielle. Il y a une playlist réservée aux formations de Elsevier. Vous allez trouver les modules ou les sessions de formation en relation avec How to find a journal, toutes les questions en relation avec les revues. Donc, c'est pour cela que nous n'avons pas pris les questions en relation avec cet aspect, parce qu'on a pris plus de temps que prévu pour les questions. Donc, je vous remercie pour votre présence, pour votre attention, pour votre patience. Et désolé pour tous ceux qui ont posé des questions ou qu'on n'est pas arrivé à les identifier ou à les voir parce qu'on a reçu énormément de questions, soit sur le chat, soit sur la rubrique questions-réponses. En votre nom, je remercie Lucia pour sa présentation et je remercie Kalima sur le chat qui est en train de répondre sur vos questions et on vous donne rendez-vous je crois le 7 novembre pour une autre session de formation avec Elsevier et pour consulter toutes nos formations programmées avec les autres prestataires et fournisseurs d'accès. Vous allez trouver toutes les annonces sur notre page Facebook imist.cnrst, sur notre site www.imist.ma. Et c'est tout. J'espère que vous allez tirer bien profit de cette session. Et merci pour votre participation. Thank you, Lucia, so much. Thank you. It was very interesting.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.